Dr. Michael Carter pushed the floating pen back toward his desk for the third time that morning. It should have fallen. It should have hit the metal surface with a small click and stayed there. Instead, it drifted slowly upward like a feather, in water. Michael rubbed his tired eyes and looked around the laboratory of the research ship Aurora. Everything else seemed normal. The humming of the air recyclers filled the background. The blue lights along the walls glowed steady. The gravity generators showed green lights on all their control panels, but the pen kept floating. Michael had worked in space for 15 years. He knew how artificial gravity worked on ships. The massive spinning rings created centrifugal force that pushed everything toward the outer walls. It felt just like standing on Earth. People could walk normally. Water poured down. Things fell when you dropped them, yet his pen was floating toward the ceiling like they were in zero gravity. He picked up his coffee cup and let it go. It fell normally and hit the desk with a thud. Coffee splashed on his papers. Michael frowned. Why did the pen float but the coffee cup fell? The door to the lab slid open. Dr. Emily Brooks walked in carrying a tablet. Her short brown hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She wore the standard blue uniform of the science team. "Morning, Michael," she said. "Ready for the gravity readings near Europa?" Michael pointed at the pen, which was now bumping gently against the ceiling. "Look at that." Emily glanced up. "Did you throw it?" "No. I let it go and it floated up." Emily laughed. "Come on. The gravity generators are working fine. I can feel it." She stamped her foot on the floor. "See? Normal gravity." "Try dropping something small," Michael said. Emily pulled a stylus from her pocket and released it. They both watched as it fell to the floor with a normal click. She picked it up and tried again. Same result. "Your pen must be charged or something," she said. "Static electricity, maybe." Michael shook his head. "I checked. No charge. Watch this." He took out another pen from his drawer. This one fell normally. He tried a paper clip. It floated upward just like the first pen. Emily's smile faded. "That's weird." "It gets worse," Michael said. He led her to the corner of the lab where his experimental equipment sat. A rack of test tubes hung on the wall. Half of them were pointing downward as they should. The other half were pointing upward. "What the hell?" Emily whispered. "I noticed it an hour ago," Michael said. "Some things fall down. Some things fall up. Some things float in the middle." Emily walked closer to examine the test tubes. "This doesn't make sense. Gravity doesn't work this way. Either you have it or you don't." "That's what I thought too." The intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Carter, to the bridge, please. Dr. Carter, to the bridge." Michael and Emily looked at each other. Captain James Rodriguez never called scientists to the bridge unless something was seriously wrong. They left the laboratory and walked through the curved corridors of the Aurora. The ship was huge. It had 3 rotating rings connected to a central hub. Each ring was a mile across. The science ring where they worked was the largest. Above it was the living quarters ring. Below was the engineering and storage ring. As they walked, Michael noticed more strange things. A maintenance panel was hanging open. The screws that should have fallen out were floating in a small cloud nearby. A dropped wrench was stuck to the ceiling. "This is getting worse," Emily said. They reached the central hub and took the elevator up to the bridge. The bridge didn't rotate. It was in the center of the ship where there was normally no artificial gravity. But the command crew wore magnetic boots to walk on the metal floors. Captain Rodriguez was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had commanded ships for 20 years. He stood looking out the main window at Jupiter's moon Europa. The ice-covered world hung in space like a white marble. "Michael, Emily, thank God you're here," he said. "We've got problems all over the ship." Chief Engineer Lisa Thompson turned from her control station. She was a small woman with red hair and grease stains on her uniform. "The gravity generators are working perfectly," she said. "All readings are normal, but we're getting reports from every section." "What kind of reports?" Michael asked. "Tools floating when they should fall. Water running upward in some pipes. In section C7, a maintenance worker is stuck on the ceiling. We can't get him down." Captain Rodriguez gestured to the main screen. It showed a map of the ship with red dots marking problem areas. There were dozens of them scattered through all 3 rings. It started about 3 hours ago, the captain said. Small things at first, now it's spreading. Any pattern to the affected areas? Emily asked. Lisa pulled up another display. That's the strange part. The problems seem random. No connection between locations, no common systems. Michael studied the pattern. Something nagged at his mind. What's our position relative to Europa? Standard orbit, the captain said. Same as we've held for 2 weeks. But we're closer now than when we first arrived, Michael said. We've been slowly spiraling inward for the gravity measurements. So? What if the problem isn't coming from inside the ship? What if it's coming from Europa? Everyone on the bridge turned to look at him. Through the window, Europa looked peaceful and normal. Its ice surface was covered with long cracks and ridges. Scientists believed an ocean of liquid water lay beneath the ice. You think Europa is causing this? Captain Rodriguez asked. I know, Michael said. But the timing fits. The closer we get, the worse the problems become. Lisa shook her head. Europa doesn't have enough mass to affect our artificial gravity. Its gravitational pull is tiny compared to Jupiter. What if it's not natural gravity? Emily said quietly. What if something on Europa is generating an artificial gravitational field? The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the white moon hanging in space before them. That's impossible, Lisa said. There's no life on Europa, just ice and water. Thought a lot of things were impossible until today, Michael said. He pointed at the screen showing the ship's problems. But here we are. Captain Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Lisa, can we back away from Europa? Put some distance between us and see if the problems get better? Yes, sir. But it will take several hours to change orbit safely. Do it. And send probes to scan Europa's surface. Look for anything unusual. What kind of unusual? Lisa asked. The captain looked out at Europa again. Anything that might explain why our ship is falling apart. As Lisa worked at her controls, Michael felt a chill run down his spine. They were millions of miles from Earth. If something was wrong with their ship, they were on their own. Help would take years to arrive. And now they faced something that challenged everything they knew about physics and space. He watched Europa through the window and wondered what secrets lay hidden beneath its ancient ice. 3 days had passed since the Aurora moved away from Europa. The strange gravity problems had gotten worse instead of better. Dr. Michael Carter stood in the main laboratory watching a wrench slowly rotate in midair. It had been floating there for 6 hours. The ship's probes had found something incredible beneath Europa's ice. Something that shouldn't exist. Dr. Emily Brooks burst through the lab door holding a tablet. Her eyes were wide with excitement and fear. Michael, you need to see this. The probe data just came back. She set the tablet on the desk and pulled up the scan results. The screen showed Europa's surface and what lay underneath. Far below the ice, buried in the hidden ocean, was a structure. Look at the size of it, Emily whispered. The structure was massive. It stretched for miles under the ice like a buried city, but it wasn't built by humans. The design was completely alien. Curved walls spiraled around central towers that reached up toward the ice ceiling. Strange geometric patterns covered every surface. The probe's deep scanner picked this up yesterday, Emily said, but it took time to process all the data. Michael leaned closer to the screen. How deep is it? 40 miles under the ice. In the deepest part of Europa's ocean. That's impossible. We've mapped Europa dozens of times. How did we miss something this big? Emily swiped to another screen. Because it wasn't active before. Look at these energy readings. The display showed waves of energy pulsing from the structure. The waves moved up through the water, through the ice, and into space. They matched perfectly with the timing of the gravity problems on the Aurora. It's sending out some kind of signal, Michael said. Not just any signal. These energy patterns are affecting gravitational fields. Somehow, this structure is manipulating gravity across thousands of miles of space. Michael sat down heavily in his chair. An alien structure. On Europa. That controls gravity. It gets stranger, Emily said. She showed him another screen. The structure is over 1 million years old, according to the ice dating. But it only turned on 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, right when we arrived. Yes, like it was waiting for us. The door slid open and Captain Rodriguez walked in with Dr. Robert Kim and Dr. Amanda Foster. Robert was young and brilliant, fresh out of graduate school. Amanda was older, a specialist in alien geology, who had studied meteorites from other worlds. Show them what you found, the captain said. Emily displayed the probe data on the main lab screen. Everyone gathered around to stare at the alien structure. My God, Amanda whispered. It's beautiful. It's also dangerous, Captain Rodriguez said. 3 more crew members got stuck on ceilings today. The medical bay reports that some people are getting sick from the gravity changes. Robert stepped closer to the screen. The mathematics are incredible. Look at these energy patterns. They're creating localized gravity fields with surgical precision. What do you mean? Michael asked. Normal gravity affects everything equally, but this structure is creating gravity that only affects certain materials. That's why your pen floats but your coffee cup falls. It's selecting what to influence. Emily pulled up another display. The structure has been scanning our ship. Every time we get close to Europa, it learns more about our technology and our materials. It's studying us, Amanda said. Just like we're studying it. Captain Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. The real question is, what does it want? And is it dangerous? The energy output is enormous, Robert said, pointing at the readings. If this thing wanted to destroy us, it could have done it already. Instead, it's being very careful, very precise. Michael walked to the window and looked out at Europa. The white moon looked the same as always, but now he knew it held secrets beyond imagination. We need to send another probe, he said. A closer look at the structure. Absolutely not, Captain Rodriguez said. It's too dangerous. We're moving further away from Europa and heading back to Earth. James, think about what we've found, Emily said. This is the most important discovery in human history. An alien civilization that mastered gravity manipulation. We can't just run away. I can and I will. My job is to keep this crew safe. Amanda stepped forward. Captain, with respect, we're scientists. This is why we're here. To explore and discover. Not when it puts lives at risk. The argument was interrupted by a loud bang from the corridor outside. Everyone rushed to the door. In the hallway, Maintenance Chief David Wilson was floating near the ceiling trying to grab a handrail. Help me down from here, he called. I was just walking and suddenly I started floating up. Several crew members formed a human chain to pull David back to the floor. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he stayed down normally. This is getting ridiculous, David said, brushing off his uniform. We need to figure out what's causing this and stop it. Dr. Lisa Thompson's voice came over the intercom. All senior staff to the bridge immediately. We have new readings from Europa. Everyone hurried to the bridge. Lisa was at her station looking worried. The energy output from the structure just tripled, and it's sending a focused beam directly at our ship. On the main screen, Europa glowed with a strange blue light. Streams of energy were visible rising from the surface and reaching across space toward the aurora. It's trying to communicate, Robert said. Or attack, Captain Rodriguez replied. Suddenly, all the gravity problems on the ship stopped. The floating objects fell to the floor with crashes throughout the vessel. Everything returned to normal. What happened? Emily asked. Lisa checked her instruments. The energy beam changed frequency. It's no longer affecting our gravity generators. On the screen, Europa continued to glow. The energy beam still reached toward them, but now it pulsed in a regular pattern. Long pulses, short pulses, groups of different lengths. It's a pattern, Amanda said. Like a code. Michael watched the pulsing light. It's trying to tell us something. The question is, Captain Rodriguez said grimly, do we want to listen? The alien light continued to pulse from Europa. carrying a message across the void of space. A message that would change everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. And somewhere deep beneath Europa's ice, an ancient intelligence waited patiently for humanity's response. Dr. Michael Carter stared at the numbers on his screen. For 2 days, he and his team had worked to decode the pulsing signals from Europa. What they found changed everything. The alien structure wasn't just trying to communicate. It was teaching them. "Look at this pattern," Dr. Emily Brooks said, pointing to her tablet. The first signals showed us basic mathematics. 1 pulse, 2 pulses, 3 pulses. Then it moved to physics equations. Dr. Robert Kim nodded excitedly. And now it's showing us how gravity really works. Not the way our textbooks say, but the true nature of gravitational force. They sat in the main laboratory surrounded by screens full of data. The alien signals had become more complex each day. What started as simple pulses had grown into detailed lessons about the universe. "It's like a teacher," Dr. Amanda Foster said. "Starting with basics and building up to advanced concepts." Michael rubbed his tired eyes. "But why? Why is it teaching us?" "Maybe that's what it was built for," Emily suggested. "An alien school left behind for younger civilizations to find." The door slid open and Captain James Rodriguez walked in with Security Chief David Wilson. David was a big man with muscles and scars from his military days. He always looked suspicious of everything. "Any progress on the signals?" Captain Rodriguez asked. "Major progress," Robert said. "The structure is teaching us advanced physics, gravity manipulation techniques that are centuries ahead of our science." David crossed his arms. "Or it's pretending to teach us while it studies our weaknesses." "What do you mean?" Emily asked. "Think about it. Every time we respond to its signals, we reveal more about our technology. Our computers, our communication systems, how our ship works. It could be gathering intelligence for an attack." Michael shook his head. "If it wanted to attack us, it would have done it already. This thing has incredible power." "Maybe it's waiting for backup," David said. "Learning everything it can before its friends arrive." Captain Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. "David might be right. We should be careful." "James, look at what it's teaching us," Emily said. She brought up a display showing gravitational equations. "This knowledge could revolutionize space travel. We could build ships that manipulate gravity instead of fighting against it. Or we could build weapons," David said darkly. "Gravity weapons that could crush cities." "That's not what this is about," Amanda protested. "This structure is ancient. It's been waiting under Europa's ice for millions of years. It only activated when we arrived because it recognized us as an intelligent species ready to learn." "How do you know that?" David demanded. "Because of the teaching pattern. It started with concepts we already understood and built up from there. A predator would attack immediately. A teacher waits for the right moment to begin lessons." Robert pulled up another screen. "Look at this. The latest signals aren't just about gravity. They're about responsibility." Everyone gathered around his display. The signals showed complex patterns that represented moral concepts, right and wrong, the consequences of power, the importance of wisdom. "It's not just teaching us science," Robert said. "It's teaching us ethics, how to use this knowledge properly." "See," David said. "It's trying to control our minds." "No," Michael said slowly. Understanding was beginning to dawn on him. "It's making sure we're ready for this knowledge, that we won't use it to destroy ourselves or others." Captain Rodriguez studied the patterns. "Like a test." "Exactly. The alien civilization that built this structure must have learned the hard way. Great power without wisdom leads to destruction. So they built these teaching machines to help younger races avoid their mistakes." David wasn't convinced. "That's a nice story. But we don't know if it's true." The intercom crackled. "Bridge to Dr. Carter. We're receiving new signals from Europa, much stronger than before." Everyone hurried to the bridge. The main screen showed Europa glowing brighter than ever. Energy streams reached out from the moon in all directions, not just toward their ship. "It's signaling other locations too," Communications Officer Rachel Davis reported. "Jupiter's other moons, the asteroid belt, even toward deep space." What's it doing? Captain Rodriguez asked. I think it's calling other teaching structures, Michael said. Activating a network. That's been dormant for ages. Lisa Thompson looked up from her engineering station. Sir, we're detecting responses. Very faint, but there are signals coming back from multiple locations throughout the solar system. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the display showing signal sources scattered across space. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. There are teaching structures everywhere, Emily whispered. Or weapons, David said grimly. A network of alien weapons that just woke up. We need to make a decision, Captain Rodriguez said. Do we continue studying these signals or do we run for Earth and warn everyone? If we run now, we lose the chance to learn, Robert argued. This knowledge could advance human civilization by centuries. Or destroy it, David countered. What if other ships find these structures and aren't as careful as we are? What if someone uses this gravity technology to build weapons? Michael looked out at Europa. The alien structure continued its patient teaching, waiting for humanity to prove itself worthy of advanced knowledge. The structure already thought of that, he said. That's why it's teaching us about responsibility first. It won't give us the dangerous knowledge until it's sure we can handle it. And what if it decides we can't? David asked. No one had an answer for that. Dr. Amanda Foster stepped forward. There's something else. I've been analyzing the age of these structures. They're not all the same. Some are millions of years old. Others are newer. What does that mean? Captain Rodriguez asked. It means the alien civilization didn't just build these and disappear. They've been maintaining the network, updating it, adding new structures over millions of years. So they're still out there, Emily said, somewhere, watching, making sure younger civilizations get the help they need to survive and grow. David's hand moved toward his weapon. Or making sure they don't become a threat. The debate was interrupted by a new signal from Europa. The pattern was different this time, more complex, more urgent. It's responding to our conversation, Rachel said, studying her instruments. Somehow it can hear us. Or read our thoughts, David said. No, Michael said, understanding flooding through him. It's reading our intentions, our emotions. That's how it knows we're ready for each lesson. It can sense whether we're approaching this knowledge with wisdom or with destructive intent. He looked around at his colleagues. We're not just being taught science. We're being evaluated as a species, and our response will determine what happens next. The alien light pulsed steadily from Europa, waiting for humanity's answer to the greatest test they had ever faced. The alien structure had begun its final examination of humanity. Dr. Michael Carter felt the ship shake as waves of gravitational force washed over the Aurora. This was no longer just teaching. This was a test that could kill them all. Gravity. Spike in section B12, Chief Engineer Lisa Thompson called out from her station. The walls are bending under the pressure. Captain James Rodriguez gripped his command chair as another wave hit the ship. How bad is it? Bad. If these gravity fields get any stronger, they'll crush the hull. Dr. Emily Brooks worked frantically at her science station. The structure is creating different gravity zones throughout the ship. Some areas have Earth normal gravity. Others have 10 times Earth gravity. A few have reverse gravity. People are trapped, Security Chief David Wilson reported. Maintenance crew in Section C7 can't move because of the high gravity, and 3 scientists in the lab are stuck on the ceiling in a reverse gravity field. Michael studied the patterns on his screen. The gravity changes weren't random, they formed a puzzle. It's testing us. Each gravity zone is part of a larger problem we need to solve. Dr. Robert Kim looked up from his calculations. The patterns match the physics lessons we learned over the past week. It wants us to use that knowledge. To do what? Captain Rodriguez demanded. To prove we understand gravity well enough to control it safely. Another violent shake ran through the ship. Warning lights flashed red throughout the bridge. The artificial gravity systems groaned under the strain of fighting the alien forces. We can't take much more of this, Lisa warned. The structural supports are reaching their limits. Dr. Amanda Foster was studying her tablet with intense concentration. I think I see the pattern. The gravity fields are arranged like a three-dimensional maze. We need to find the path through them. What kind of path? Michael asked. A safe route for the ship to travel. If we can navigate through the gravity fields in the right sequence, they'll stabilize. Navigate where? Captain Rodriguez asked. We're in space. Toward Europa, Amanda said quietly. The structure wants us to come closer. Absolutely not, David Wilson said. It's a trap. The thing is trying to crash us into the moon. No, Robert said, looking at his calculations. Amanda's right. The gravity pattern forms a corridor leading down to Europa's surface, but only if we follow the exact right path. Another gravity wave hit the ship. This time it was stronger. The lights flickered. Several crew members cried out as they were suddenly pressed against walls or lifted toward ceilings. We're running. Out of time, Captain Rodriguez said. People are getting hurt. Michael made a decision. We have to try following the path. It's the only way to stop this. Are you insane? David shouted. You want to fly the ship into an alien trap? It's not a trap. It's a test of trust. The structure is asking if we believe in what it's teaching. Us. Communications Officer Rachel Davis looked up from her station. I'm getting reports from all over the ship. The gravity problems are getting worse. Medical Bay says they have 15 injured crew members. Captain Rodriguez closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was grim but determined. Lisa, can you pilot us through this gravity maze? If the scientists can guide me through the right path, yes. But one mistake and we'll be crushed or torn apart. Do it. The next hour was the longest of their lives. The Aurora slowly moved through the invisible maze of gravity fields surrounding Europa. Emily and Robert called out directions while Amanda tracked their progress. Michael monitored the alien signals, looking for any sign they were on the wrong path. Turn 15 degrees starboard, Emily called. There's a high gravity zone directly ahead. The ship groaned as it passed between two massive gravity fields. The crew felt their weight shift as they moved from normal gravity to twice normal gravity and back again. Down 20 degrees, Robert said. We need to avoid that reverse gravity pocket. Lisa's hands were steady on the controls despite the sweat on her forehead. This is like flying through a hurricane made of invisible walls. You're doing great, Michael encouraged. The alien signals are getting stronger. We're following the right path. As they got closer to Europa, the gravity effects on the ship began to stabilize. The crushing forces that had threatened to destroy them faded away. But the test wasn't over. There's something else, Amanda said, staring at her readings. The structure is sending new signals, more complex ones. Michael studied the patterns. It's the final part of the test. It wants us to make a choice. What kind of choice? Captain Rodriguez asked. Whether to land on Europa and make direct contact or turn back and return to Earth with only the basic knowledge we've already learned. The ship fell silent, except for the humming of the engines. Everyone on the bridge stared out at Europa's ice-covered surface. They were now close enough to see the cracks and ridges in detail. If we land, we get the advanced knowledge, Emily said. Complete understanding of gravity manipulation. And if we turn back, the captain asked, we keep what we've learned so far. Enough to improve our technology, but not enough to be dangerous. David shook his head. We should go back. We've pushed our luck far enough. But think of what we could learn, Robert argued. This knowledge could solve humanity's energy problems, make interstellar travel possible, or give us weapons that could destroy planets, David countered. Rachel suddenly looked up from her station. I'm getting a new transmission, not from the structure, from Earth. Put it through, Captain Rodriguez ordered. The crackling voice of Admiral Sarah Chen filled the bridge. Aurora, this is Fleet Command. We've been monitoring your situation. Under no circumstances are you to make contact with the alien structure. Return to Earth immediately. They don't understand, Emily whispered. They think it's dangerous. Maybe it is, David said. Michael looked at the alien structure's signals one more time. The patterns were beautiful and complex. They promised knowledge that could change everything. But they also carried a weight of responsibility that made his hands shake. Captain, he said quietly, I think the real test isn't whether we're smart enough to understand the knowledge. It's whether we're wise enough to know what to do with it. The Aurora hung in space above Europa while its crew faced the most important decision in human history. Below them, the ancient alien teacher waited patiently for their answer. Dr. Michael Carter stood before the viewport watching Europa's surface grow larger below them. In 30 minutes, the Aurora would either land on the alien moon or turn away forever. The decision that would shape humanity's future rested in their hands. Captain James Rodriguez called an emergency meeting in the conference room. All senior staff gathered around the metal table. The weight of their choice filled the air like a heavy fog. Earth Command has ordered us to return immediately, the captain began. But the alien structure is offering us something that could change everything we know about physics and space travel. Dr. Emily Brooks leaned forward. The knowledge it's offering goes beyond just gravity manipulation. The signals show techniques for faster-than-light travel, unlimited energy sources, and technologies we can barely imagine. And weapons, Security Chief David Wilson added grimly. Don't forget the weapons. Gravity can crush planets if misused. Dr. Robert Kim shook his head. The structure has been teaching us responsibility alongside the science. It wouldn't give us knowledge we can't handle safely. How do you know that? David demanded. Maybe its idea of safe and our idea of safe are very different. Dr. Amanda Foster had been quiet throughout the argument. Now she spoke softly. I've been thinking about the age of these structures. Millions of years old, built by a civilization that clearly survived long enough to spread across the galaxy. What's your point? Captain Rodriguez asked. My point is they figured out how to handle this knowledge without destroying themselves. And now they're trying to teach us the same wisdom. Chief Engineer Lisa Thompson pulled up a display showing the ship's condition. We need to decide soon. The gravity fields are stabilizing, but our systems are still under stress. We can't stay here much longer. Michael studied the faces around the table. Each person represented a different view of humanity. Emily, the scientist seeking knowledge. David, the soldier fearing danger. Robert, the young idealist believing in progress. Amanda, the philosopher looking for wisdom. Lisa, the engineer focused on practical concerns. What if we compromise, he said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. What if we don't take all the knowledge? What if we learn just enough to help humanity, but not enough to be dangerous? The structure won't let us pick and choose, Emily said. It's all or nothing. Complete knowledge or basic understanding. Actually, Robert said, studying his tablet, there might be a third option. Look at these latest signals. He showed them a new pattern from the alien structure. The signals were different from before, more complex but also more gentle. What does it mean? Captain Rodriguez asked. I think the structure is offering us a partnership, Robert said. Not just knowledge, but guidance. It would continue teaching us gradually over many years, making sure we're ready for each new level of understanding. David frowned. That sounds like being controlled by aliens, or protected by teachers, Amanda countered. Like children learning dangerous skills under adult supervision. Communications Officer Rachel Davis's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we're receiving another transmission from Earth. Admiral Chen wants to speak with you personally. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Sarah Chen at Fleet Command. Her face was stern and worried. Captain Rodriguez, I'm ordering you to abort this mission immediately. We've detected massive energy readings from Europa. Whatever you've found there could be a threat to Earth. Admiral, with respect, you don't understand the situation, Captain Rodriguez replied. This isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. I understand that you've been in space too long and your judgment is compromised. Return to Earth now or face court-martial. The transmission ended abruptly. The conference room fell silent. Well, the captain said quietly, that makes our choice clear. We either obey orders and go home, or we commit mutiny and make contact with the aliens. It's not mutiny if we're right, Emily said. It's mutiny if Earth says it is, David replied. Michael looked around the table one more time. Let's vote. Everyone who wants to return to Earth, raise your hand. David immediately raised his hand. Lisa hesitated, but then raised hers too. "I'm sorry," she said, "but I have a family on Earth. I can't risk being branded a mutineer. Everyone who wants to make contact with the structure?" Emily, Robert, and Amanda raised their hands without hesitation. All eyes turned to Captain Rodriguez. His choice would break the tie. The captain was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window, Europa's surface was clearly visible. Ice fields stretched to the horizon, hiding secrets that had waited millions of years to be discovered. "I became a space captain to explore the unknown," he said finally, "to push the boundaries of human knowledge. I won't turn back now when we're on the edge of the greatest discovery in history." He raised his hand. "But," he continued, "we do this carefully. We accept the partnership Robert described. Gradual learning with alien guidance. No rushing toward dangerous knowledge." Michael felt relief flood through him. "Agreed." Rachel's voice came over the intercom again. "Captain, the structure is sending new signals. I think it heard our conversation." They all rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed Europa glowing with soft blue light. The harsh gravity fields that had tested them earlier were gone. In Nuion, their place was a gentle beam of energy guiding them toward a smooth landing zone on the surface. "It approves of our choice," Michael said. The Aurora descended slowly through Europa's thin atmosphere. As they landed on the ice surface, the alien structure sent one final signal. This time it wasn't just patterns of light. It was images, pictures of other worlds where the teaching structures had guided young civilizations, species that had learned to use advanced technology wisely, planets where war had ended and exploration had begun, solar systems where different races worked together to build a better universe. "This is our future," Emily whispered, "if we're worthy of it." Michael watched the images of peaceful alien worlds and felt hope fill his heart. Humanity was about to join something much larger than themselves. A community of intelligent species guided by ancient wisdom and boundless curiosity. The test was over. The real learning was about to begin. As the Aurora settled onto Europa's surface, the alien structure beneath the ice pulsed with welcoming light. Somewhere in the galaxy, other teaching machines registered a new student species. Humanity had passed its first exam. Now came the hard part, learning to be worthy of the knowledge they would receive. But for the first time in their journey, Michael felt certain they would succeed. The universe was vast and full of teachers, and humanity was finally ready to learn.